Hey everybody, it's GombletX and welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and today I'm going to be playing the Magic 30 Mixed Up Premier Draft event. This is a Magic 30 tie-in event where we will be drafting cards from basically any random set on Arena. They're going to be shuffled together into our packs, so it's not like we're drafting one pack of Eldraine, then a pack of Theros, then a pack of Dominaria, nothing like that. It's going to be a pack with like 7 different random sets in it, and then pack 2 is going to be a pack with 7 different random sets in it, and so on and so forth. So really cool, really interesting format here where we get to play with a variety of cards and chaos will ensue. None of these drafts or games should feel that similar because there's so many different sets hopping around. So should be a pretty cool format, and above all, should be a really fun time. The entry fee is the same as a Premier Draft. It's 1,500 gems or 10,000 gold, and the prizes are the same as well, but the packs that you will be paid out are going to be from a random non-standard set. So if you get 3 packs, then you could randomly get a pack of Eldraine, a pack of Theros, a pack of Kaldheim, something like that. So without further ado, let's hop into the draft and see what kind of nonsense we're taking today. Alright, so as you can see here, pack 1 is going to contain cards from Streets of New Capenna, Dominaria, Ikoria, Innistrad Crimson Vow, Ravnica Allegiance, and M19. And it is going to be the same every time, which is a little bit uncool. I would definitely prefer if it were completely random each time, but the first pack, it's going to be cards from all of these sets. I did do one practice draft just to learn exactly how the pack distribution or the set distribution works, so I could explain it this time around. And yeah, the first pack in my first draft was Capenna, Dominaria, Ikoria, Crimson Vow, all of these sets. So everybody passing us cards is going to be passing us cards from these same sets throughout pack 1, and then pack 2 is where everything's going to change into different sets. So we'll start with the rare here. It's a pretty powerful one. A 3-mana 2/3 Menace lifelink is already pretty great, and it's also got a good activated ability, letting you sacrifice creatures to look at the top card of your library, and you may put it into your graveyard. Good sacrifice ability because if one of your creatures is at risk of dying, like it's getting targeted by a removal spell, or it's going to die to a combat trick, you can just do that in addition. And then if you ever fill your graveyard and there are 5 or more mana values in the grave, you get to start paying some life to draw some cards. And with lifelink, the Sanguine Spy is giving you the extra life to be able to afford that. So pretty solid rare there, pretty easy to stick to that. So the mana fixing in this format is theoretically not going to be great because it's all mixed together from a bunch of different sets. That being said, I do like Corpse Appraiser a lot. It's a solid place to go after taking a Sanguine Spy. This is a 3-mana 3/3. When it enters the battlefield, you can exile a creature from a grave. If you do, you look at the top 3 cards of your library and put 1 into your hand and the rest into your graveyard. So if there's a creature card in a graveyard when you cast this, it's going to be a great value play, giving you a 3/3 body on board and drawing you a card for 3 mana. Really, really efficient. I think it's worth trying to be at least splashing a 3rd color to go for that. I think it is quite a strong card. Other sweet options are like Aviation Pioneer and Infestation Expert, both putting a lot of creatures on board for cheap, which is pretty nice. But see if we can play a Corpse Appraiser here to go with our Sanguine Spy. They also both self-mill a little bit, so they work together in that sense. Pack 1, pick 3. Nothing phenomenal here. We've got a solid removal spell, 5 mana for an instant speed removal spell, destroy a creature and scry 1, or we have a Snooping Newsy, 2 mana for a 2/2, it mills 2 cards when it enters the battlefield, and if there are 5 or more mana values among cards in our graveyard, it's going to get +1/+1 lifelink. Again, we do kind of have a self-mill theme already between Sanguine Spy and Corpse Appraiser, so this fits in with those pretty well also. So I could go with the Snooping Newsy here. A little bit awkward to be in the mixed-up draft and just take 3 cards from the same set for the first 3 picks, but you know, there's nothing that cool in any other set here. I mean, most of the other sets of cards are very, very basic right now. You know, like a 3-mana 3/2 flash, 4 mana for a 1/1 and a 3/1. Little ward creature that's an equipment. Nothing phenomenal. I'm going to take the Newsy over to get the point. But I think both of those would have been pretty solid options. Pack 1, pick 4, Swiftwater Cliffs seems like a pretty ideal pick for us. We probably have to take mana fixing pretty highly in this chaos sort of format. The best cards in this pack are Spore Crawler here, a great green creature that does the kind of the same thing as Corpse Appraiser, gives you a solid body and draws you a card. This one doesn't draw you a card until it trades off, but it's still pretty good. There's also Of One Mind, which is pretty good at getting you ahead in card advantage. 3 mana to draw 2 as a sorcery. It's playable in a lot of formats, and if you can get the cost reduction, it's super, super good. 1 mana to draw 2. And we already have a good start to that. 1 human, 2 non-humans, but I'm going to take the mana fixing here. Play it nice and safe. Pack 1, pick 5. Unfortunately, the mana fixing here doesn't really work for our deck. It's an Azorius Locket and an Azorius Guildgate. Not ideal. This pack in general is really weak. The 2 strongest cards, though, are in blue, which is great for us. We get to choose between an Essence Scatter to play a more controlling deck, which I think does work with the cards we've taken so far, or a Windstorm Drake, which is great if you can put a lot of flyers onto the board. We don't have any creatures with flying yet, and we need to draft around this relatively hard, so I don't think I'm going to go with the Windstorm Drake. I think I am going to go with the Essence Scatter. We've seen in Dominar United how good this can be in some formats, and I expect it to be pretty solid in the mixed-up Premier Draft format. So we'll see. Take an Essence Scatter here. Alright, pack 1, pick 6, double white life gain card. A little hard to put into our Grixis deck here, our blue-black-red deck, but kind of wild to see that so late. Most sets have at least a bit of lifelink in white. This is a pretty good pack for us. Again, I'm pretty happy that we're in blue because a lot of the best cards here are blue. 3 mana for a 2/2 flyer with Prowess. When you cast an instant or sorcery, give it +1/+1. Moon Circuit Hacker, a great ninjutsu card. If we have good Enter the Battlefields to redo, that works well, or if we have good evasive threats. So Corpse Appraiser has good ETB, and Sanguine Spy is an evasive threat, so Moon Circuit Hacker's kind of appealing. Gateway Sneak's really good if we can get a lot of gates, or if we know we can get in with it. I think it's a little difficult, though, to do that, so I'm going to take the Moon Circuit Hacker here. I think it's probably a little bit easier in these colors to get cheap evasive threats and good Enter the Battlefield effects. Gateway Sneak was a really, really good card in its format. I think it was Guilds of Ravnica. It might have been Ravnica Allegiance, but that's because you knew you could get gates. And here, there's only 1 pack of Ravnica Allegiance, and that pack of Ravnica Allegiance it's only like 1/7 of the pack. And then in pack 2, there's only 1/7 of that pack is Guilds of Ravnica, so there's not going to be a lot of gates. So I'm going to take Obscura Stormfront here. It's blue-black fixing. Again, I'm going to take the on-color fixing pretty highly. The next best card for us would be the Clawing Torment. Being able to shut off a blocker and get some damage done to our opponents, pretty good. More good mana fixing here. Cinder Barons, pretty happy to take that. Deal Gone Bad is fine removal. It does mill ourselves to help work with our Sanguine Spy and Snooping Newsy, which is cool. But 4 mana -3/3, a little bit inefficient in general. Hopefully we can find some better removal. I did already pass on better removal than that, though. I passed on the 5 mana Destroy a Creature Scry one, but really going to take these lands highly. Hopefully that doesn't punish us too hard with a massive lack of removal in the deck. Homered Explorer is a pretty inefficient way to mill yourself. A 4 mana 3/3 body is just not affecting the board. However, or how much you would want it to do for that mana cost. But mill 4 is big. Unwind is pretty narrow. Mind Rot also pretty narrow. I guess it's the Homered Explorer, but I'm not going to be that happy if I end up running that card. Persistent Specimen's another card that'll work well if we're trying to self-mill ourselves, but so is Dark Bargain. This lets us dig 4 cards deep, put 2 into our hand and the rest into our graveyard, so it helps us get those 4 mana values for our Sanguine Spy and our Newsy. And it's card draw at the same time. It's also instant speed card draw, which helps us hold up Essence Scatter. Hard choice. These are both great for a graveyard deck, but I'm going to go Dark Bargain over Specimen because it's better for a more controlling deck. Makes it easier to hold up our counter spells. Now we have a Short Circuit, a Moon Snare prototype, Rubble Slinger, or Heightened Reflexes in red. Pretty bad pack. I don't think anybody's going to be super happy with this one. I'll just take Channeling a Moon Snare prototype's not horrible. Put a card on top or bottom of the library. Yeah. That might be better than the 2 mana -3/-0. Of One Mind Wield, I'm pretty happy to see that. Great card advantage play. Just 3 mana draw 2. Everything else in here is pretty unplayable to us. Paragon of Modernity always just feels a bit too slow. It does theoretically work in here. We are 3 colors. take a Guild Gate of the Azorius variety, although I doubt I'm running it. We're just late enough in the pack that we're taking whatever nonsense is remotely close to getting ran. Alright, pack 2, as you can see now we have Kaladesh Remastered, M20, Ixalan, Battle for Zendikar, Amonkhet Remastered, and Theros Beyond Death, and Adventures in the Forgotten Realms. So lots of different sets here this time around. I think Tempest Caller is just a really good card. 4 mana for a 2/3, you tap all creatures somebody controls when it enters the battlefield, which can just end a game if you're both sitting there and the board is stalled. If you have, if it's late in the game and they have 8 life and you have 8 power on board, it doesn't matter how many creatures they have, they just die to a Tempest Caller. So I think the card is pretty good. It's also Metallic Rebuke, which is solid here since we are more controlling. Or Evolving Wilds is actually great mana fixing that will not wheel, but I think Tempest Caller is a pretty great win condition. Okay, looks like we have Spark Harvest here looking pretty great. 5 mana to destroy a creature or planeswalker, or 1 mana and sack a creature to do the same thing. Like that a lot. Electrostatic Pummeler is really cool, but with only 1/7 of a pack of Kaladesh, can't really get the energy to use this ability more than once. So you really have to have a lot of combat tricks to do that. But yeah, I think Spark Harvest looks pretty good to me. Get some more removal in here. Looks like we're blue-black at the core, splash in the red. So I'm pretty happy with how things are looking here. Darkblade Agent. As long as you've surveilled this turn, it's got Death Touch, and when it deals combat damage to a player, you draw a card. Not going to be a lot of Surveil here, although I did hear that they made Surveil an evergreen mechanic, meaning any card that looks at the top and chooses to put it in the grave or not is getting changed to say Surveil. So this has more ways to trigger than it did before, but still, I don't think I've seen a single Surveil card so far. Take the Mediocre Removal, 4 mana to tap something down and keep it locked. Or the Displacer Beast here, which is a pretty good value play. 3 mana for a 3/2, you venture into the dungeon, and you can return it back into your hand to keep venturing, which is pretty cool. Also, Gruesome Scourger. If I have a lot of creatures down, I think I like Displacer Beast. That sounds pretty fun to me. Another Gruesome Scourger. Didn't think we'd be seeing any duplicates of uncommons, but sometimes you just get that lucky. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Not really for our deck. We're not that creature heavy, that aggressive. I do like Lampet of Death's Vigil. Pretty solid, somewhat sturdy blocker for the 2 mana, and it gives you a really good sacrifice outlet whenever your creatures are going to be dying anyway. Now you get to drain your opponent for life. Namana Skydancer only mills opponents. If this could mill ourselves, that'd actually be pretty exciting for this deck, I think. Like a pretty cool, pretty consistent, just like blue-black, somewhat controlling pile. I'm pretty into this deck. Should be a cool one. Pack 2, pick 5. We've got a 6 mana 4/4 flyer. We are not going to have enough vampires to return this, are we? We have some from Capenna, actually, weirdly enough. We have 2 vampires. I doubt we'll have enough vampires to return that, but our other options in this pack aren't very good. I can do 2 damage to a creature planeswalker, or I can have a 0/3 that surveils 1. Or a mediocre vehicle. I'll just take the Deathless Ancient. 6 mana 4/4 flyer is not ideal, but we need some nonsense to try to end the game with. 6 mana 5/6 on the ground is pretty big. That'll be the biggest thing. We'll definitely try to end the game with that. If we get anything that proliferates, that's going to be super good. I don't think we will, but maybe. And Undead Servant is pretty much unplayable in this format, because you want a ton of copies of this and you're not going to get them. Really good red-white dual land for anybody who's trying to play those colors. I like Witness of Tomorrow's a lot. 5 mana for a 3/4 flyer that has just a static ability to keep scrying throughout the game, or an activated ability to keep scrying throughout the game is nice. It's a good mana sink. Basically, 5 mana 4/4 flyer, that's what you're really happy with. With this, you're trading off 1 power for a good mana sink ability, which I think is good. Skyskiff is also great. This is a really good pack. Witness of Tomorrow, Skyskiff, Sleep Paralysis is not horrible, but Skyskiff and Witness are great. We're going to take the Witness there. 4 mana 2/3. It does let us draw a card when we deal damage to an opponent. If we have a good amount of rogues, it could be okay. We have 3. Probably not enough. What's our curve of creatures looking like here? We could take another 3-drop like Soul Reaper with a good sack ability, or I could take the Interaction, return an all-land card to hand. I think I'll just take a Soul Reaper. I don't think that's great interaction, and I do have a lot of non-creatures already. Sanitarium Skeleton. We did not take the skeleton from Crimson Vow, so it would be kind of nice to have this one, because we have some cards to sacrifice creatures now. So we have Self-Mill that works with this, and a couple ways to sacrifice creatures that work with this, like the Lamphead and the Soul Reaper, so Sanitarium Skeleton looks pretty cool here. Ooh, completely off color. Luckily, almost all these cards are really bad. The best one's probably Prowling Felidar or Vivian's Grizzly, because they both kind of take over a long game. This one by drawing you extra cards, this one by getting bigger and bigger. I think I'm a little more scared of like a Grizzly value engine, so we'll hate draft that one, I guess. 1 mana 1/1 flyer that scries 1 when you play it, or a 3 mana 2/3 that doesn't do anything. I guess the 1 mana 1/1 flyer is better when you put it that way. Costly Plunder's fine. Second artifact or creature, draw 2 at instant speed. Although we're getting a relatively high creature count, maybe we try to take some Scourgers. Oh, we did Wheel the Barrier of Bones, so we would have had one way to Surveil with the 3 mana 2/3 that cares about doing that. Yeah, we're at 16 creatures here, and we're on to the 3rd pack now, so we can take more. So for the final pack here, Call Time, Dominar United, Rivals of Ixalan, Throne of Eldraine, M21, and Amonkhet Remastered. Wait, has this been 2 packs in a row of Amonkhet Remastered, or am I going crazy? Not sure. There's Strixhaven in here as well. Blue, black with a red splash here. Fires of Victory is good off the splash, but I think Poison the Cup is more than good enough off of the main color to just take that instead. Super good removal. Deadeye Rig Hauler is a really good rate as well, but I'm going to take the excellent removal first, the Poison the Cup here. Pack 3, pick 2. Looks like a bunch of mediocre cards. Demonic Gifts, Death Knell Berserker, Vortex Runner, Drownyard Amalgam, Walking Corpse all look like nonsense. Cancel as well. Not going to be super happy to play any of those. We don't have a lot of ways to deal damage to cards with Giants, Wizards, or spells, so Agar's not going to do anything. Carter's Vicious Return might be okay. Yeah, I mean, we have like a Sanitarium Skeleton. This pack's not very good for us. We'll just take that Vicious Return. Maybe we'll end up cutting it, but there wasn't much else in the pack for us. We have a Charmed Sleep for on-color removal. We have Burn the Accursed for removal off the splash. We have Sky Scanner, which is a great deal. Just get a 1/1 flyer and draw a card. I'm pretty into Sky Scanner. Really easy to cast this thing no matter what's going on with your mana. And it's always going to be a solid deal, drawing you that card when it hits the board, getting you a decent little chump block if nothing else. Pretty into Sky Scanner, we'll scoop it up. Ooh, Revenge of Ravens is good if your opponent is a deck with a lot of small creatures. If your opponent is a deck that's going wide with a bunch of 1/1 tokens, they just can't beat this card, period. And if your opponent's deck's pretty aggressive, they have a bunch of 2 and 3 power creatures, it's also going to be really a tough time for your opponent to get through this card. When your opponent is just attacking you with a green deck that's just hitting you with one big 7/7, this card does almost nothing, but there's a lot of matchups where I think this can play pretty well, so I'll scoop it up here and see if it works out for us. Although there's also excellent mana fixing, but at this point, we're barely splashing red, and we already have 2 red fixers, so I think our mana actually ended up being pretty solid here. So I'll take Revenge of Ravens. I think that is more than powerful enough to take over the mana fixing there. I like Augury Raven. 3/3 flyer there. I like Mirror's Outrider as well, but we're not going to have that many land types because our red sources aren't even mountains technically. So yeah, I think I'm taking the Augury Raven. 4 mana for a 3/3 flyer is a solid deal. You can also foretell it to play it for only 2 mana on a later turn. Just spend a 2 mana upfront fee, and then get that 2 mana discount later. Pretty cool. Yep, these blue and black cards aren't that exciting outside of the Raven. So join us, Augury Raven. Join the party. 3 mana, 2/3 menace. That can get bigger during the night is fine. Fine addition to the deck. So I do look like I have a lot of 3s here. What's the other option though? Just a squash off the splash? Yeah, I mean this is pretty filler, and then this is we'd have to splash it. I don't know, I'll take the squash. Doesn't look like much going on in here. I like the Spined Megalodon a lot in M21 draft because you can draft a Reanimator deck. Can't really do that here, but still a 7 mana 5/7 hexproof is kind of ridiculous with a good scry ability, so we'll take that as a big late game win con, I guess. Cut the Dam Breaker and run that instead. It's definitely better than that card. Novice Occultist is fine. 2 mana for a 1/2, gets onto the board quickly, and when it dies, we draw a card. It's a good little chump blocker that gives us value. Ooh, somebody could be drafting Knights Tribal. That actually might work in a mixer draft. Best card in this pack's Fierce Witchstalker, though. Kind of wild. That's still in there. Some good blue stuff. Ooh, speaking of being wild, speaking of stuff that's still in there, I guess, Deadeye Righauler, excellent card. 4 mana for a 3/2 that bounces an opposing threat is really good, so you just need to make sure you can trigger the ability to attack. And we've got a few evasive threats that can do that pretty easily, so I think this should be great in our deck. Don't think I'm going to run the Vicious Return. Oh, here's the nonsense pack again. I don't love any of these cards. I guess I want more of a variety of mana values, so I'll take an Amalgam here, just to make Snooping, Newsy, and Sanguine Spy easier to trigger. Now we can take a Charmed Sleep, random removal. We don't have any lessons, and we're not going to have them, so learn spells are just pretty much bad here. It's basically draw a card, discard a card, draw a card. Steel Gaze Griffin is completely unplayable though, so I think for our deck. And I don't know, it was probably better. But I don't think we're playing either of them. Alright, so a bunch of stuff that we're not going to play in the end here, and then we get to cut this deck down, make it a lot more consistent and focused. Nice little blue-black kind of controlling deck here. We get to cut 8 cards. We do have 22 creatures right now, so we get to cut a lot of creatures for sure. Cut the Dam Breaker, definitely. Megalodon's basically the better version of that for our deck. Deathless Ancient. Don't have enough vampires to ever bring this back, but still just a big flyer late game can be okay. Reminds me of the Djinn in Dominar United. Probably still not great, so that's on the chopping block. I don't know if I'm immediately cutting it. I think I'm going to probably lower my creature count quite a bit, so Gruesome Scourger gets worse. Amalgam. Again, we have some cards that get some value off of Self-Mill, which can be okay, and it does get that unblockability later. It might be okay. Homered Explorer, though, I think is a little too small for its cost to justify that, even though it's got that mill attached. I love the rest of our 4-drops, though. A Raven, a Righauler, and a Caller. Sky Scanner's great, Corpse Appraiser's great, Soul Reaper's pretty great, Sanguine Spy's definitely great, and Displacer Beast, pretty exciting as well. Moon Circuit Hacker, Lampet of Death's Vigil, both very exciting. Novice Occultist is fine, Newsy's pretty great. Skeleton's great with the synergies that we have of sacrificing it or milling it. Barrier of Bones, I mean, I guess it does mill us one, but not that exciting. Then Silver Raven, kind of similar to Crysis one, but not that exciting. Pretty good with the Moon Circuit Hacker, but that's about it. It's 1 mana, 1/1 flyer. I cut all that. Puts me at 17 creatures. can definitely still cut a few more in a more controlling deck like I think we are here. Let's probably do cut the Silver Raven even though it works well with the Moon Circuit Hacker. Sky Scanner works incredibly with Moon Circuit Hacker. Yeah, we're probably actually using Moon Circuit Hacker as sort of a combo piece later, and just trying to bounce something like a Tempest Caller, or a Sky Scanner, or a Corpse Appraiser, something with a great enter the battlefield. I think I can cut this Silver Raven, and then we cut two of these non-creature cards. We have some decent value plays with our creatures, like Sky Scanner, Corpse Appraiser, Novice Occultist, Soul Reaper of Mogis potentially, Moon Circuit Hacker potentially. So I probably don't need too much card draw, so I think I can cut Of One Mind, because we've got a lot going on at 3 mana, although I do... How many humans do I have? I have 4 humans, and obviously everything that isn't a human in the deck is a non-human, so if I have one of my humans down and pretty much any other creature, I can cast this for only 1. Still feels maybe a little bit inconsistent. I do like the instant speed and the card selection that's given to us from the Dark Bargain, so I don't know, I'm gonna run the Dark Bargain over the Of One Mind. I don't think I want both. And then I probably cut the Moon Snare prototype. That's the least efficient interaction that we've picked up. 5 mana to put something on top or bottom of its owner's library, and the owner gets to choose where it goes. I think 5 mana deal 6 is probably better. 3 mana destroy is definitely better. 3 mana lockdown is better. Essence Scatter is better. Spark Harvest is better. Yep, we'll cut the Moon Snare prototype and then call it a deck there. I'm still kind of considering that Of One Mind. Maybe it is better than the Dark Bargain. I don't know, it's probably kind of negligible. They're both better in different instances. I think it's fine to just run Dark Bargain over it for now. But maybe we change our mind later. I think this is going to be the deck. Kind of a blue-black controlling deck. Some good evasive creatures, like some good flyers, a little bit of menace going on, and a lot of great removal, and some controlling cards like Revenge of Ravens here. Try to lock our opponent down from attacking us, so should be a very cool deck. How is the mana looking here? I'm pretty sure they have it correct. We're at a 12-11 split. 8 blue sources. 7 black sources, yep. Tiny bit more blue than black. That's how they have it set up. We've got 3 red sources for our Squash and Corpse Appraiser. Feels perfect. For a 2-card splash. Yep. Run it like this. Corpse Appraiser ends up being a late game value play, not an early game play. But that's pretty fine. This is going to be the mana base, and this is going to be the deck. Alright, here's a look at the final deck we'll be playing today. It's a nice blue-black sort of tempo sort of control deck here, where we've got a good consistent curve of creatures with really nice enter the battlefield value effects, like those on Sky Scanner, and Displacer Beast, and Novice Occultist when it dies. So creatures that are just consistently hitting the board, giving us good value. And then a lot of evasive threats like flyers like the Augury Raven, menace creatures like Sanguine Spy, flyers like Sky Scanner. So a lot of pretty nice evasive threats and pretty nice value plays to try to keep us ahead in card advantage and get through more stalled out boards. So the idea is to get these kind of threats on the board, keep chipping away at our opponent while they can't block well, and then any threats that they play that are too big for us to deal with, we can blow them up with Poison the Cup, Spark Harvests, Essence Scatter them, Charmed Sleep them, Squash them, and anything that's small enough to not race particularly well, we just leave it around for a while, and later in the game drop a Revenge of Ravens to really keep our opponent's small creatures from accomplishing anything. So it seems like a pretty nice blue-black tempo control deck, or control tempo deck here, and pretty excited to see how it does in the gameplay. Alright, and here we are in game 1 on the play. We need to draw 1 land here to get to Sky Scanner's mana cost. And then we can draw another card off that. I'm going to keep this here. We still have Lampet of Death's Vigil, and we can foretell an Augury Raven and cast that later off of just this 2 mana. And obviously, if we get to the 3rd mana, the hand's going to be pretty excellent. So I'm going to curve out with the Lampet here because I'm going to want to play Skyscanner turn 3. So if I just foretell a Raven, I'm not putting anything on the board for a while. Our opponent looks to be a more aggressive red-white deck here, so Revenge of Ravens should be great in this matchup. That is likely just going to be the turn 4 play, so we can get as much life gain off of this card as possible. Our opponent can exert the Nefcrop Entangler. If they do, it's going to attack as a 3/3 trample, which is not big enough for us to kill at all here, so we have to just kind of take 3. And then an Emissary of Sunrise, very aggressive deck from our opponent. Now a 2/1 first strike that explores when it hits the board, so since they had a land on top, it just draws that land to their hand, so really, really good card there. We are going to immediately drop the Revenge of Ravens. Try to lock our opponent off from hitting us. I should have attacked with Skyscanner, that's not going to get blocking here, but Lampet is definitely blocking Emissary if they try to send that in. But I missed out on a point of damage there, that was pretty loose. Just trying to play quickly there. Miniature punt. 1 point of damage down the drain. Chandra's Revolution, that's going to be pretty annoying for us. Lock down one of our mana so we can't play a 4-drop this turn, and also kill our best blocker for the Emissary of Sunrise. Alright. Looks like we'll just play a Soul Reaper of Mogis then, which is big enough to block either of these creatures. They will have to exert the Entangler. If I hold Skyscanner back, it more easily forces them to exert Entangler, so now there is a reason to hold Skyscanner back. Makes not getting that damage in last turn a little bit more awkward again. Turn the volume down a tiny bit here. Alright, get some Revenge of Ravens trigger. They are going to exert the Entangler. And this is going to be a combat trick here to trade with the Soul Reaper, but that's fine. It's going to keep damage off of us for now, as we can set up more creatures. Feat of Resistance, sure thing. 3/2 first strike. The fact that that combat trick permanently put a +1/+1 counter onto their first striker is a pretty bad deal for us, because now it's going to be even harder to block that well. Already bad enough a 2/1 first strike, but now 3 first striking power? Pretty deadly. Probably go for a nice big value swing here with Moon Circuit Hacker at this point. Yep, we need to draw into something good to get rid of the Emissary. Ideally, we just draw into, like, removal. So let's draw a card off of the Moon Circuit Hacker and then a card off the Skyscanner. Cinder Barons. Alright, well, we're playing the Skyscanner then. Witness of Tomorrows. Okay. Big enough creature. Stop that Emissary of Sunrise. Revenge of Ravens is putting a lot of work here. We're still at 13. We could be at a much lower life total. And Revenge is really good against Imperial Oath. But that card is also phenomenally powerful. Really good aggro deck from our opponent. Really good aggro deck here. Drop a 3/4 flyer and hope for the best here. Could play 2 spells. I could play Occultist and Raven instead. But then I don't have a blocker for the Emissary still. Would let me draw another card though. Plays pretty poorly into more removal from our opponent, but we gotta cross our fingers and hope they have not drawn into that. They did just scry a bunch though. Counting up the Samurai, looking around here. Alright, they're removing the Witness of Tomorrows most likely. Sure are. A lot of removal over there. Alright, we're instantly trading with the Samurai here. 6, 7, 8 damage, we get on to 10. All I can do is chump with Sky Scanner. Sure, going down to 10. And then a flyer. That's what they've played. Tempest Caller. Not good on the defensive. Not good on the defensive, unfortunately. 7 mana. I can play a Raven and an Occultist. Or I can Dark Bargain and still play the Occultist. I think I have to play the Raven here. I have something to trade into the Aeronaut. Double block a Samurai, I guess. More removal. Good lord, just mountains of it. Just a phenomenal aggro deck here. Revenge of Ravens has been just putting in a mountain of work for us. But it's probably not enough. Oh my god. Yeah, this deck is absolutely disgusting from our opponent. If I was a betting man, I'd have to say this is very likely to end up being the best deck we're going to play against today. Unfortunate to see it in round 1. For 7, 8, 9, 10, we can crack back for 2. We get on to 3 life here. If I can get them low enough on life, I can make it so they just can't attack anymore because of Revenge of Ravens. Crack back for 2, I put them to 5. They can only attack with 4 or less creatures. But then I have no blockers out anyway. Maybe I just jump here and take 8 total, go to 5 life. This is rough. But I can... I don't know. I'll do the double block here. Just take 3. Ooh, squash. There we go. We have drawn into removal now. And an Essence Scatter way too late. Squash the Emissary of Sunrise after they declare the attack. Hold up the Essence Scatter. Taking a lot of damage here. Still probably over. I think these two are just too late. You can have the 1/1 flyer, because that doesn't do any damage to us. And I can't counter that with Essence Scatter, so we are very dead. This is a ridiculous bomb. This was one of the mythic uncommons in the set. You get 2 1/1s and give your whole board +1/+1 in haste. So we just die. Devastatingly good deck from our opponent there. Start off this draft 0-1. There was a shot last game. I didn't do the math. My opponent could definitely play a round 1 removal spell and kill us there. But there was a shot that they would attack in a way where I could barely survive playing a squash on one of their creatures, and if they attacked with too many creatures, there might have been a position there where maybe they attacked with enough creatures that they go down to 1 life. So if I could survive the attack and put them to 1, then as long as Revenge of Ravens was on board, they couldn't attack again. So, actually maybe had a shot that game. That was maybe a premature concession. But I am fine seeding the matchup there. I think their deck is definitely better than mine. That deck was absurd. Solid Essence Scatter here. Okay, Got the 4th mana for Revenge. Let's drop our Displacer Beast, get our Scry 1. I do have double black cards in here. I've got like Spark Harvest and stuff. And I've got a 7-drop and a 5-drop in hand. Yeah, we'll keep that. A little awkward with the Squash, but still helpful for our other cards here. Fairgrounds Warden on Displacer Beast. No blocks for us. Both our creatures are pretty low power, so Revenge of Ravens looks like it will be putting in work. Yeah, I think our first matchup was actually winnable, especially if I had attacked earlier in the game with the Sky Scanner. I think if I didn't miss that point of damage earlier with Sky Scanner, maybe I got in 2 attacks with it. We could have put them to a point where even through Heroic Reinforcements, they just can't afford to attack with enough creatures. Didn't get there, though. Doomfall here, they get to exile any non-land card from our hand. So get rid of our Witness of Tomorrows, I would assume. It's the only thing we can cast in our hand. But they might be scared of the Gigantic Shark. Yep, Witness of Tomorrows is gone, so we have no plays for a few turns, but that's okay. Revenge of Ravens is keeping us very alive. We're basically taking 1 damage a turn instead of 3, so we have plenty of time. There's a Charmed Sleep, which I don't really want to use on essentially a 2-power creature right now. When I have a Revenge of Ravens down, we gotta save this for a big standalone threat that does enough damage to matter through a Revenge of Ravens. Okay, well now we are going to Charm Sleep that thing. 100%. Great thing about this is it does not put it in their graveyard, so they can't just give something else double strike. Which is normally what the Twin Blade Invocation can do, recasting for 3 mana from the grave. Impassioned Order, a little 2-2, that's fine. Another 2-2. The more they play, the scarier they are. Not actually that into milling myself right now, because I think this game's going to go long with Revenge of Ravens. Don't have anything that cares about my grave right now. But I could still draw into the stuff that cares about my graveyard. I could still mill a Sanitarium Skeleton. It's probably still strictly just supposed to be milling ourselves here. Alright, mill some nonsense. We milled some good cards, but these cards were just as likely to be on the bottom of our library and never get drawn anyway, so that's never a reason to not mill yourself. Unless there's like one very specific combo piece that like you're not going to win the game unless you draw it. Just pretend this was the bottom card of our library. There's the Sanitarium Skeleton. That's not funny, Arena. That's so rude. Now they have a Duskfang Mentor to keep making the Fairgrounds Warden bigger and bigger and bigger until it is big enough to attack through Revenge of Ravens. Alright, still no red source. We didn't mill a red source either, so there's still 3 in there. But we do have Spined Megalodon mana now. Pretty good. Definitely want to draw into Squash. If we can squash this Fairgrounds Warden, it's gonna be massive. Alright, another Dork. Augury Raven, that's fine. Still just waiting for the red source. 20 cards deep now. Don't really have great attacks. could... Ooh, Heron of Hope now, so they double their life gain. Yeah, we're not doing that much damage at all. And say I could be attacking with like just a Drown Yard Amalgam. Alright, Poison the Cup works. We can blow up a Fairgrounds Warden with that. And then we get to go to the Goblin Lair or the Mine Tunnels. We'll go to the Mine Tunnels to get a treasure to cast our Squash as well. Yeah, Poison the Cup was a very good draw. So now they can't make things bigger and bigger because they don't have a lifelinker anymore for the Duskfang. Oh, the Heron of Hope can gain lifelink though. Duskfang Mentor. So we probably Poison the Cup and then we squash the Heron. So they have no lifelinkers to make bigger. Maybe it's better to kill the Duskfang Mentor than the Heron. It's 100% best to kill the Fairgrounds Warden first because we get a creature out of doing this. But then between these two, I don't know which we're supposed to kill. I feel like it's probably Heron of Hope. Start poking them every turn with the Raven, I guess. They need 4 mana to give this lifelink and buff it, so they can't do like a super big block here. And then I'm just going to kill it before they can draw into anything that would save it. If they have main deck enchantment removal, we are going to have a really bad time dealing with this Twin Blade Geist. But let's hope that is not the case. Moon Circuit Hacker on Raven is fine. Yeah, that's pretty fine. Draw a card off of that. Drawn to a Corpse Appraiser. Well, now we are needing a red source again. There are 3 in these 17 cards. Okay, we can start just Displacer Beasting every turn, I suppose. Oh no. Oh my god. That is actually a pretty easy draft around in Mixer format because there's just 5,000 humans in every set. But that turns all of their humans into a removal spell. Only destroys creatures with power 4 or greater though, so they can't actually destroy anything. Okay, but it still gives the humans all +1/+1. This is still not good for us. It's still gonna buff multiple of their creatures, but they can't actually kill anything. 16 cards, I might actually mill myself. I might have too much self-mill in here. I'm still going to cast this Dark Bargain. This one is still definitely worth it. Well, I mean, I guess we got these out of the way. That means all 3 of my red sources are in the bottom 13 cards now. Start attacking with 2 creatures. Still 4 blockers and Revenge of Ravens. 3, 4, 6, 14-ish life. Maybe try to speed up the clock here. This might be a little too aggro, but I'm getting low on cards. And opponent has life gain through the roof. I don't know, all their creatures are pretty small, so just blocking with like a 2/1 and a 3/2 is still pretty good. Gale Swooper. Uh-oh. That is really not good for me. Give another one of their creatures flying this turn to get extra damage in, and they have a 3/2 flyer for the future. Gale Swooper, a great aggressive card. I forgot how aggressive some of the core sets are. That is insane. Soul Reaper of Mogis. Well, obviously can't really attack with the flyer anymore. Need to hold that back for a trade. Nine mana. We've got Displacer that I could do instead. 4 mana and then 3 to play. Do Fungi Cavern here. That's 9 mana, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I don't have the mana to go to the Fungi Cavern and make the Amalgam unblockable. Which means I don't hit for 6 this turn, I just hit for 3. Whatever, that's still probably better than attacking with Amalgam. Unless they like top deck another Gale Swooper. Because this way we go deeper into the dungeon, so I get closer to getting that one draw card. That one card draw. So yeah, we go to the Fungi Cavern so that we can send in with the Raven and be deeper through the dungeon. And then we don't get hit in the sky this turn. Okay, they pass turn, they're down to 16. We have hit the red source. I go down to 8 cards if I cast Corpse Appraiser. Feel like that really helps me turn the corner. Ooh. We are milling ourselves this game. None of these are that helpful, actually, at winning right now. Target creature. I can return my own creature. Is that helpful anywhere? Not particularly. Still probably better than Sky Scanner, because then I'm really just out of cards. Got the mana to finish Displacer Beast. But I would rather hit my opponent. I guess Sky Scanner gives me a blocker, a chump blocker for Swooper. Maybe Sky Scanner was better. Being able to chump block Swooper would let me send an attack in with the Raven this turn. There's not really a great bounce here, so I'll just play the Soul Reaper this turn. Gain a life, I'm into that. Give me that life gain. Immediately, please. 7 cards in library. Tomb of Annihilation definitely makes each player lose a life. So if I stack this up to where I need 1 more damage, I could finish the Lost Mine of Phandelver so I can go into the Tomb of Annihilation. That is an option. down to 6 cards if I do that, though. But 3 more hits from Amalgam puts them to 1. Oh no. That is very big and very bad for me. Yep, that's pretty mega bad. Probably gonna have to bounce that just to slow them down. But then they're gonna gain a life again. Oh, I forgot about this card. Oh, I forgot about this card. I'll just go for it. Alright, well, looks like that card is significantly stronger in that round. Good lord, that is what I was talking about. You just get into these board stalls sometimes in Limited, and that card is just... I guess I win. If you draw it during a board stall. I completely forgot about that card because of how poorly it performed in game 1, but coming in very clutch there in round 2. Yeah, now that I remember that I have that in my deck, I should have been just playing really aggressively with the card draw. I should have finished that Displacer Kit in the last turn or the turn before it. I should have picked up the Sky Scanner. I shouldn't have been that scared of milling myself because I had a card like Tempest Caller that would just immediately win the game in this board stall. Even if I only have 0 cards left in library, if Tempest Caller is the last card in library, it would still win, because my opponent doesn't have counter spells, they're not in blue. So, yeah, I should have just played more aggressively with the card draw there. But either way, Tempest Caller coming in clutch there. We're going to be 1-1 now as we head into round 3. We are on the play here. We don't have our red mana, but we have a Sky Scanner and Displacer Beast on turn 3, so I can scry 1 and draw a card. If I hit a land, it is a bold keep, but it will be a keep nonetheless for me. I'm actually going to storefront next turn so that I can actually draw slightly more likely to hit a land this turn, and I did hit the land, so now we can easily storefront. Watching too much of the boys. Alright, grab a swamp. And our mana's perfect now. Fabled Passage from our opponent, the better Evolving Wilds. Very, very good card. They are going to grab a swamp. They are on black-whites with an Illuminator Virtuoso turn 2. There are a lot of synergies and combos you can have with that card that can be devastating, so let's hope they don't get to target this with too many spells and do too much damage to me right off the bat. I'm going to drop a Displacer Beast first because it does threaten to trade with the Virtuoso if they don't have a trick. Scry into a Tempest Caller. That's a really good late game play. It doesn't do too much right now, so I'm not that excited about it, but I think I still keep it in the hand for late game play. Now, they wouldn't make this attack if they didn't have a trick, so I'm just not going to block here, because Virtuoso is already a card they actively want to cast a combat trick on. So if I just give them a really easy opportunity, that's going to go devastatingly poorly for me. Oh, wow. They are on just double strike deck over there. They probably have a ton of combat tricks. We are likely to get killed real quickly here. Yeah, this is not good. Sky Scanner does not do any blocking here. We might just have to Dark Bargain. Trying to find better blockers. And then now I'm just going to throw Displacer Beast on Core Blade Master, so they might have to throw a combat trick on the creature that they don't get any value from targeting. I actually have Displacer Beast mana up as well, so rather than draw 2, I could just draw 3/2 to my hand if they play a trick. If they don't play a trick, then this is a trade that I'm fine with. Alright. Take a trade, and now a Craven Hulk. Alright, so they're just aggressive. Megalodon and Raven. Neither of these all that good right now. We're facing a 1/1 Double Striker and a 4/4. I am not going to afford this Megalodon anytime soon. I think I just need the land for the squash. So Raven and the island. Probably our best bet here. Guarantee that we've got squash at the ready. Do I squash a Craven Hulk or play a Raven and gain a life? Could also play a Corpse Appraiser now, exile their creature from grave, and have a creature big enough to block Virtuoso. But again, they probably have a trick, so they probably just attack again. Because they attacked really aggressively really early there with it. I'd love to be able to have a blocker up big enough to kill Virtuoso and the squash up at the ready. But I can't do that. Yeah, I mean, this isn't ideal, but I think I'm just squashing the Hulk. Blood Pact, they're going to draw 2 cards, lose 2 life. Hit us for 2. And play a 2/1. Now we've got a great use for our Sky Scanner and a Revenge of Ravens here. This essentially gains us 2 life. Can only play 1 spell this turn no matter what, so yeah, we play Revenge of Ravens and Cliffs. This gains us a lot of life throughout this game. Ooh, that is a large threat. Ah, there's the scatter turn late as always. That is horrible for us. Revenge of Ravens has us safe against everything else, but this Dread Knight is way too big. I need to dig for an out here, so we'll use Corpse Appraiser to do that. There's an out. Poison the Cup. Can't afford it right now. This is really awkward because I want to play Sky Scanner as well. But if I do, then I can't foretell the Poison the Cup. And if I don't hit another black source, then I can't play the Poison the Cup. Because it's double black if I don't foretell it, so I think I have to foretell it here. Just guarantee I'm getting the Dread Knight off the board next turn. But I might just die to a trick here. Taking 10 damage on board, but gaining 3. So I'll be at 15, taking 10. If they have a removal spell and a cheap combat trick, I die. There's the removal spell. Do they have the cheap combat trick to cast on Virtuoso? If so, I am dead. Let's find out. Okay, they don't have the trick, so we're just down to 5. And then Neheb the Worthy, another just terrifying threat. Really cheap. I did draw the swamp, so I didn't have to foretell that, so I could have played Sky Scanner as a blocker. So I can now... What does this do? That's going to be a 4/2 first strike, just period. If it deals combat damage to us, we discard a card. Okay. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mana. 2 mana for Poison the Cup. I have 5 mana left over, which means I can play Sky Scanner and hold up a Scatter. Or I could just play a Raven. I'm not going to play anything big enough to block Neheb well. I mean, well, we definitely have to Poison the Cup the Dread Knight. I'm going to do it now so I can get the Scry and know what's coming up. Don't think either of these are saving me at all. Although Sanitarium Skeleton is pretty nice as like an infinite chump blocker. Actually, no, that's perfect. That's actually perfect. Yeah, we take the Skeleton, and then we can go Sky Scanner into Skeleton. I don't get to Essence Scatter anymore, but this feels pretty good. Fingers crossed, no removal this time. That is removal, and we are now screwed again. If I kill Prismite, take 6, go to 2, but then they only have 2 creatures left. To discard my Tempest Caller, I guess. I can't deal with this Neheb. Okay, I have to clear out their threats. Do make them discard their last card in hand too, which could be good. Yeah, we made them discard a creature. And that's not a creature that would do anything here. Now we're just dead, right? I'm not straight up dead, but that was not an ideal draw. I go to 1 life now. We top decked removal, but it was a creature removal, so I am alive for 1 more turn. Because I do get to counter that. So we have 1 last draw step here. Come on, good stuff. Removal spell for Neheb. That is an island. It's going to be 1 and 2 as we head into round 4. Alright, here we are on the play for game number 4. Definite keep, excellent mana. We've got our splash color. Only thing we're really missing is double black, and we've got that turn 4 Revenge of Ravens, which has been pivotal. However, we have lost multiple games where we've been trying to Revenge of Ravens into staying alive. Wow, this is just, seems like it's been a wildly aggressive draft format. It seems like just taking a consistent curve of aggressive creatures is a pretty good strategy when there's not a ton of synergy or cohesion available, because there's so many different sets here, so feels like whether or not aggro is the greatest strategy ever, I'm not sure yet. I'm only 1 draft into the format. It does feel like no matter what, you are going to run up against a lot of aggro. So Soul Reaper is going to block Eager Construct all day, but Displacer Beast makes sure I can hit the land for the Revenge of Ravens next turn, because it lets me scry on its enter the battlefield. So I'm going to go for the scry here. And we will keep that mountain. A little awkward to hit double red, because we definitely don't need double red, but I still need lands enough that I'm going to keep that. Never mind Teferi's Tutelage here, one of the most bonkers uncommons from M21. Just immediately can turn any deck into a mill deck, because I'm getting milled 2 cards every turn minimum now, which is really, really bad for our deck, because as we've seen in our other matchups, our deck wins long games, and we're in blue, black, and red, which are the 3 colors that have 0 ways to blow up enchantments. I honestly feel like Teferi's Tutelage is just like an immediate loss if that hits the board against us. I'm still going to play it out to the best of my ability, because this is, if we lose, the last game of Magic today anyway, but I don't think we can beat a Teferi's Tutelage, because we don't win the game nearly quick enough. And our opponent, of course, is going to have other card draw spells to speed up the Tutelage, which is even worse. If a Tutelage drops against you in Limited, if it drops on turn 3, it means you're guaranteed to lose the game in about 13 turns, or 12 turns. If your opponent plays extra card draw spells like Opt, every 1 spell that they play is going to speed up how quickly you die by another turn, which is really bad. Yeah, we're losing super fast. At this point, if they don't draw any extra cards, we will lose the game in 10 turns. Less than that, like 9 turns, because we have to count in to factor in all of our draw as well. Just drawing 1 card per turn speeds up that clock. I have no good plays here. Dark Bargain's not good against tutelage. I guess I just play a Soul Reaper. Yep, this draft feels pretty over. Unfortunate one. I thought this deck looked pretty great to me, but we've ran up against a lot of pretty aggressive stuff, and then Teferi's tutelage is kind of just an immediate loss for our kind of strategy. Just can't outrace the card. Even aggressive strategies, like this is a tutelage popping off pretty quickly here from our opponent. Can't attack into a 3/6 now. Can bounce this thing, but I can't afford to recast it immediately anyway. I can bargain to mill myself faster, but I can't draw anything to blow up tutelage, so the bargain doesn't matter. Play a Deadeye Rig Hauler and pass, but yeah, there's nothing to get through all this. 1 and 3 today, which is pretty sad, but on the plus side, I think this format is really cool. Oh my god, that's... what a horrific draft today, good lord. They have to draw 3 to go alongside the Teferi's tutelage. That is pretty disgusting. Yeah, I was gonna say on the plus side, I am definitely excited and happy to see Mixer Premier Drafts back, and I am going to do some more of these, so this is not where the Premier Drafts are going to end. We'll definitely get at least one 7-win run uploaded on the channel here, because this is on for the whole Magic 30 weekend, so the next couple days here, this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. At minimum, I believe this event will be going, and that will be what I'll be playing. I'll be doing daily videos of this event. And then once it's over, we'll get some practice in for the Arena Open at the start of November, which is original Dominaria Sealed. So we're going to be playing some Dominaria Sealed events after this, so... Still some really cool limited stuff. Still excited that this event exists, and very excited to hop right back in and draft another deck that'll hopefully play a little better than this one did, but really unfortunate run today. If I played at my absolute best, I think we could get this deck a 2-3. I think we could have won against that Boros deck, but this game here is completely unwinnable. But yeah, I think we could have 2-3'd. Maybe 3-3'd, maybe there was some line I didn't see sometime earlier. But 100% we were never winning this game. It's another mill 6. I only have one card left in my deck anyway. So 1 and 3 it is. Quite the beating in the Mixer Premier Draft format. But again, really cool format. Really good variety in terms of what is available. You might run up against a lot of aggro. I ran up against a lot of just pretty basic aggro stuff there today. So that does kind of hinder the variety a little bit when we play against just like Boros aggro and then Orzhov aggro and then Rakdos aggro. Just felt like a lot of just Boros-y aggro-y stuff there in general. But that last matchup was definitely something different, just dying to a tutelage that quickly. But yeah, you are getting beaten by different cards every time, or playing against different cards every time, because of the mixed up just nature of the format. So really cool event. If you've got the gems or the gold for it, and you don't care about your limited rank for the season, absolutely recommend it. If you do care about your limited rank for the season, it is incredibly awkward that they decided to make this a ranked event. That seems very short-sighted and dumb to me. I don't think this should be a ranked event, because it's literally like the whole point is that it's a chaos limited format. It's cards from a whole variety of sets here, so like there's not as much strategy when it comes to the draft portion in terms of like consistent strategy that you can get good at and actually try to like ranked ladder climb through. There's a lot more variety, which is great for a casual format, which is how I'm playing it. But if I were trying to hit top 200 Mythic this month, if this month's Mythic gave me an invitation to a limited event, I would just not play this event, period. Because they made it ranked, I'd have to boot up the alt account. So that's pretty weird. That's pretty awkward. This is not the kind of event that ranked players that are trying to hit top Mythic are gonna want to play. So that is the only awkward part of it. Other than that, though, it's not a phantom event. You keep everything you draft. It's the same price as any other Premier draft. You get random packs of historic sets. So if you like playing Historic and Explorer and all that kind of stuff, Historic Brawl, so you want to build up your collection of older cards a little bit and you enjoy Limited, then here's a Premier Draft format where you can do that, which isn't usually the case. Usually Premier Drafts are just like the newest standard set. So pretty cool format, pretty fun one. And I highly recommend it if you are into just some wild games. But that's going to end today's video after that gigantic ramble. I'll be back again, as I said before, for plenty more of these mixed up Premier Drafts, as well as original Dominaria Sealeds, and a little bit of Crimson Vow quick drafts. So great stuff. Great limited gameplay on Arena right now. Pretty excited to play some more. But until next time, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.